Some students made inappropriate stories.
You were actually smiling and laughing with your students.
This is a sign that our relationship is building. It's going to be a very busy math day, so we're starting off with a new lesson. I usually like to leave a blank and choose a student's name, and then I'll let them finish off the problem. So since it's an eating competition, they'll get to choose what they're eating. Then we'll go on to reviewing our mistakes for the Pokemon math battle that we did last week. And then we're going to finish off and continue our Jeopardy game that we started a couple weeks ago, since there's a benchmark tomorrow. Math was a lot, but it went really well. We kind of just went over the same Jeopardy problems, so it was funny to see the students react like, oh, we've done this before, but not remember how to do it. When the kids come back, we're going to do bookmarks for Winn-Dixie, go over character traits, and then start the novel. Before they left to recess, I told them to choose 3 numbers from 1 to 28 so that they can randomize the bookmarks, because I'm pretty sure a lot of them will fight over having Winn-Dixie, the dog. This is what they'll choose from. It looks like a lottery, but this is the Winn-Dixie one that I'm pretty sure a lot of people will fight over. So we're trying to make it as randomized as we could. On top of going over that anchor chart about character traits, I created this activity. So each paper has the character trait. The students would partner up, give a story, and have the other person try to guess what the character trait is. For example, this one's responsible. So I picked it out. My host teacher was on the other side. She didn't know what it was. I was giving a story like, Bob goes to school and does all his work. He comes home, does his homework, helps around the house, he does dishes, he takes care of his siblings. And my host teacher was trying to guess which character trait it was. She didn't get it the first time, so I gave more clues, like Bob does every single thing he is supposed to do. She didn't get it the second time. I started asking the students what character trait they thought it was, and after a couple tries, they finally got responsible. They enjoyed it a lot. Each one is different, so after they were able to figure out the first one, they got to choose another one. Every student was engaged. Some students made inappropriate stories. These are their cute little bookmarks that they were able to personalize, and it has the characters like Otis, and I think that's Opal, Sweetie Pie, and Winn-Dixie, wherever it is. Right here, super cute. Before starting the read aloud on Winn-Dixie, I had to pre-teach them the vocabulary that they would come across in chapters 1 and 2. And we're following this whole novel study that we found on Teachers Pay Teachers. So the students are doing a Freyer model on some of the vocabulary words, and the vocabulary words that we're choosing to go over with them on paper are the ones that they'll see outside of the book too. So fortunate was one. They get to write the definition, synonyms, create an example sentence, and draw a picture. Something that I learned about myself is that I can't read and walk around at the same time too. Like, I found myself having to use my pointer finger to find the words that I was on and find the line that I was on, and I'd stop at random spots in the room just to have a break from walking because I couldn't concentrate. After school, I was planning for my Thursday math lesson, which will be about addition and subtraction rules and multiplication and division rules. So I had to go back and forth and see which examples would benefit them the most. After that, I had to create an independent practice page because I know that my students would complain so much about having 2 pages to do when it's really just 6 problems. My students just took the math benchmark, and it's the highest grades that my host teacher has ever seen on partial products and quotients, and I was the one who taught the entire series. I feel so proud, and I saw a lot of students looking at our anchor charts, so that probably helped a lot. My host teacher actually had to leave the room during this entire test, so I had to proctor it, and I was a little nervous because one of the students was extremely bouncy in the morning, but everyone was quiet and they tried their best. I think what helped was the principal was in the next door, so if there was a student who was distracting other people, I would tell the student, you know who's next door, right? And even though I only have 2.5 weeks left, the school gave me a t-shirt. I'm not going to show the design because it has the school's name on it, but that's one less outfit that I have to prepare for the week. We were late to starting our novel study today, but we were supposed to finish chapters 3 and 4, which is one of the most interesting parts about Winn-Dixie because we're learning about the mom. We only got through the first page of chapter 4, and the students wanted to keep going, but it was lunchtime, so they're begging to continue it after lunch. It gets really sad because students have real connections to the story. It really makes me wonder what goes through their head while we're reading the story. But when I read, sometimes I read too fast, and when I'm reading aloud and I trip up on one word, I'll start panicking on the inside and start tripping up on more of them, so I found myself having to slow down. The game that we played at the baby shower was so fun that we're going to add it into our morning meeting. What we did was everyone was sitting in a circle and we got to throw dice. So if we got doubles, then we'd get to steal the gift that was in the middle or steal from someone else. And I kept going around for 3 minutes. So I got my gift and then it got stolen and then I never got a double again. I definitely still had to teach myself like what term was and what sequence was before that lesson too.
You understand what you're doing. You just might have to brush up on the little definitions. They need to know the academic language, but they also need to know the global use of what they're doing. And in this lesson, you might not have realized it, but you were able to give both of those parts. You were actually smiling and laughing with your students. You were showing them that you were really enjoying what they're doing. And you were seeing that they were enjoying it.
I just had my post-conference with my clinical supervisor on my recent observation, and there were so many good things. She said that she's been seeing more confidence in me as a teacher and that she can clearly see that I'm super passionate about teaching, especially math. And I really do see myself getting more confident within the classroom because I am teaching more. She knows that I am not as confident in language arts and she wants me to bring that confidence from math into other subjects too. She was talking about how some parts of teaching is so innate and that I have it, but I just need to be less hesitant when it comes to language arts. We were also talking about my ideas for the next observation. The plan is to do symbolism, and for me that's such a hard topic to teach because it's a little more abstract, but I wanted to challenge myself because I know that if I didn't know how to teach it correctly, then my clinical supervisor would at least give me really valuable feedback. This is our classroom kindness puppy, and yesterday his ear fell off, so I had to take him home and bring him to my mom. But now he's ready to go back into the classroom and help the kids regulate their emotions. I created this little rule wizard that would tell what the input will follow. So let's say, for example, it's 2 and 9. I would have 2 as the input, boop, 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 boop. Follow the rule, which is to add 7, and then switch it, and then boop, boop. Output 9. I had 5 students today who were being disruptive during this lesson, and it just made it so hard just to get through this last problem. And it was just 5 of them in this little group in the front. Anytime I had a word out, they would be talking to each other, no one was looking at the screen. My host teacher had to give them a conversation of getting a referral for disrespect. The rest of the group though, they were pretty good. I mean, this comes pretty easily with input-output. I think the only struggle they had was creating an equation. I wasn't explicit enough in the beginning of the lesson that your input will follow a rule and have an output. I did it with this, but I didn't do it within the equation form, so that might have mixed them up. I can't believe you spilled spoiled milk in your backpack.
It was like in there for like last Friday.
When you get home, you need to wash it, okay? Because that smell is not going to go away.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away today. You need to wash it with soap. That backpack and lunch bag smelled so bad. I thought it was milk from this morning's breakfast, but he has had that milk since last Friday. I even had to cover my nose while wiping it. I was trying to clean it with a wet piece of paper and a dry piece of paper, but that smell would not go away. And he had the idea to get hand sanitizer, so that did help a lot. The smell isn't fully gone, but we just unzipped everything and we're trying to let it air dry outside right now. The entire situation was just funny and disgusting at the same time. We started this class reward system months ago for when the students are ready to learn and on task, and they finally got it yesterday. So now I have to set up the next one, which will be 20 minutes of game time. Did you guys make it again?
Yeah.
What is it, 6-1?
Yeah.
Pass it to everyone on your team! Yay! It's up and ready for tomorrow, and we finally have a clean door without everyone's post-its everywhere. The rest of the day was a complete mess. We had a group of students who kept bickering with each other across the room while my host teacher was teaching a lesson, and it gets really tiring to address it every second of the day, and a lot of the other students are really getting tired of it too. Everyone was still paying attention and writing down notes and trying their best to block out all that other noise, so hoping tomorrow's better. I gotta stay back to prepare the math lesson for tomorrow and to revisit revisit the opinion writing that they started months ago. I taught opinion writing for my Ed TPA, and I told the students that if they were to finish their essay, then I would draw or doodle their animal that they wrote about. So we have a squirrel, a bear. This one wasn't supposed to be acceptable, but Mr. Krabs, dragon, tiger, snow leopard. I forgot to mention that after reading that chapter when Opal learns about her mother, we had the students write a letter to Opal's mom as if they were Opal. One of the girls that sits near my desk randomly turned around and said she was really going to miss me when I leave, and it warmed my heart so much. But it also caught me by surprise because I literally only have 3 weeks left here. I am planning to stay to observe other teachers for a couple more weeks, so it's not like a final goodbye, but not being able to see them for a whole day breaks my heart. I had to get some coffee to end this crazy week, and I also got my host teacher one too. Except hers has some special notes like passing the Ed TPA, a perfect observation, and celebrating 2 weeks back. We are working on word problems today, and usually the students get very overwhelmed with word problems because it has way too many words and way too many numbers for them to take in. But I'm teaching them to take it step by step. So read a sentence, pause, read a sentence, pause, read a sentence, pause, and draw some illustrations with it too. So this one had 3 apple trees with 12 apples on each, 4 orange trees with 36 on each, and then we're figuring out like how many apples there are, how many oranges there are, and then how many total. They got a little stuck because this involves division at the very end, so we're going to pick it up after they come back from recess. But so far they're doing a really good job, and it seems like they're really enjoying it too, which is awesome because yesterday was just everyone was on fire. This coffee is also making me feel extremely jittery. Like this entire morning, I felt like my legs were going to give out because they were shaking a bit. I always tell myself that I'm going to quit coffee because it makes me feel like this and I feel anxious and I can't sleep at night. But today was just one of those days that I needed it as a reward for surviving this week. We did not get to opinion writing because we had design thinking lab in the morning, so we extended math a bit after recess. So I'm probably going to push it until next week. The students are so responsive with Winn-Dixie. They're so much more on task during ELA time because we tell them that they're going to run out of time for Winn-Dixie if they don't finish their work now. Every student got to do Fun Friday today. There were 4 students playing Battleship, but then one of them was cheating and putting the ship somewhere else when the other team hit their ship. So they all left the game, including the person on his team, because they just didn't want to play with a person who is going to cheat. So the same student who nobody wanted to play Battleship with, after PE, he got upset and he sat on the ground because their team lost, and he started picking the flowers, and he picked this one, and I looked at him and I was like, oh, cute flowers. And so he picked another one and he came to me and gave it to me, but I honestly thought that this kid didn't like me because it's the same kid whose behaviors are very, very hard to manage, but this is a sign that our relationship is building. I was planning to do solo teaching for 2 weeks starting Monday, but my host teacher had to leave early today, so I'm not prepared. I'm going to start Tuesday instead, but I started to internally panic because there was another teacher in here who was saying that don't worry, I can plan on my own because I should know how to already, but I don't know how to navigate their science curriculum. I honestly still struggle with connecting the projector. Even though I've been teaching more and I've been starting to get used to it, whenever my host teacher leaves the room, the students do start testing boundaries. I know that I just have to throw myself into the fire because that's the only way I'll truly learn. I'm internally starting to panic a bit, especially because my next observation, I'm trying to challenge myself and teach symbolism, which is a way harder topic than my other language arts lessons. So far, I have a very small starting point, but I have no idea what to do from there. So I gotta plan this, think about it, as well as juggling all the other subjects that I'm planning to take on. Something cute that happened during math today was that the students were expected to solve 2 out of the 4 or 5 problems that were on this worksheet. One of the students solved both of the problems correctly, so he got super excited and wanted the paper back so that he could finish the rest of the problems. It is 7 o'clock right now, and let me tell you that I barely got anything done. I'm ready for math for Monday. Opinion writing, I'm kind of ready. I was supposed to start on my lesson plan for observation 5, which is teaching symbolism, but I'm literally just staring at the screen because I don't know where to start, I don't know where to keep it going, and I don't know how to end it, especially because it's going into Winn-Dixie with the symbolism. And the last language arts lesson that I had, my clinical supervisor told me that I start at step 5, which puts so much pressure on me because I want to get it right and I want to show improvement, that I am growing. My mind has been drawing a blank for the past hour or two, so that is my sign to just leave.